Hello everyone. So this is the fourth lecture in class 11 legal studies series, in which we are doing the first unit, that is concept of state. This is the first chapter that we have started. Okay, and in this we have studied about various definitions of state that were given by different politicians, and then we studied about different theories of state. Right, we have done patriarchal, matriarchal, divine theory. Now the next in line is social contract theory. Okay, social contract theory traces existence of state to mutual agreement and mutual consent of people to form a state. Social contract, social means in the society. Okay, the people who are living in the society, when they connect to each other, contract is agreement, as I told you in earlier lecture also. So when the society or the people living in the society, they interact with each other, they get into an agreement with each other, and then by mutual consent a state is formed as per this theory. Thomas Hobbes and John Locke, both from England, and Jean-Jacques Rousseau from France, are the three political philosophers who propounded this theory. They assumed that to escape from pre-political condition of society, individuals entered into a social contract. What does this mean? To escape from pre-political condition of society, individuals entered into a social contract. Means to come out of the requisite for the political conditions of the society. What they did, they entered into a social agreement or a mutual contract. With mutual consent, they formed a society. These theories served as the basis for modern democracy. This theory established obedience to political authority, and that ultimate political authority rested with the consent of people. As it said that these theories were the foundation for modern democracy. That means, and democracy is what? When the government or the ruler is made with the consent of the people, by the will of the people, right? So same thing is written, that this theory established the obedience to political theory, as per which the ruler or the government of the state was elected with the consent of the people. The pre-political condition of mankind was described as the state of nature. Okay, now if you see this diagram which is given, people, when they wish to replace or overthrow a government, then they can do that by social agreement, by social consent. They can also give power to the government. If the government is misusing the power, then people can remove that government. Okay, so the cycle goes on like this. If the government is misusing the power, then people will replace or overthrow it. Okay, if people are protecting their rights, then they will give power to a government. And if it misuses its power, then they can either replace or overthrow it. Next, Thomas Hobbes, an English political philosopher, in his literary work Leviathan, explains the origin of state. He explains that prior to emergence of a civil state, human beings were in the state of nature. Obviously, as you have studied, that early human beings, they used all the natural things that they had for as a cloth, as a food item, right? They wore leaves or the skin of animal after they hunted and ate them. So that's what it's written, that before a civil state, a society like today's was evolved or was coming into existence. People belonged to the nature. They lived in natural environment. Hobbes began his thesis with the concept of a state of nature, which he characterized as pre-social phase of human nature. Their lives were under constant struggle with nature. As I told you, they need to hunt the animals and then they will eat it. They need to protect themselves from the attack of the wild animals like lion, tiger, because they lived in the forests, right? The state of nature was a condition of unmitigated selfishness and capacity. It was a condition of perpetual war where every man was enemy to every other man. The life of a human being was solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short. So what it is given, the state of nature, it was unmitigated selfishness, because there was a competition between each and every man against each and every other man to live, because the space was limited, resources were limited, and so if only one man or one group would consume all the resources, would eat all the animals or the trees or fruits which were there on the trees, then how would the other groups or other people will survive? So there was a competition, there was a war-like situation, constant war-like condition between two or more groups, or there was a, that's why it is written that there was a perpetual war where every man was enemy to every other man. Okay, and it was solitary. Solitary means poor, solitary means alone. Poor, nasty, brutish is brutal, and it was short, because it may happen that they are enemies, so they may kill each other also just to consume the resources enough. To evade the state of nature and for securing their natural rights of life, liberty, property as civil rights, individuals entered into a social contract to establish a state. Means they mutually were in an agreement, or they mutually consented to form a state, so that they have all the natural rights of life. They have freedom, liberty and property, means a land or a space of their own to live upon freely. The people authorized their right of governing themselves to sovereign, which came into being as a result of contract. Person or assembly of persons to whom the rights are surrendered becomes the sovereign, and individuals who agree to submit to the authority become subjects. Means the person who gets the right of governing the other people, it is known as sovereign, and the individuals who agree that we will obey you, or we will submit to the rules and regulations which are framed by the authority, those are known as the subjects. You know what is subjects, right? The common people in a country are known as subjects, and the government which rules over us, which has no control from the external power, that how to rule or what to do, what kind of rules to frame, that is sovereign. Sovereign here means the king, as I told you. Ruler was not a party to the contract and was not bound by any terms of social contract, and free to rule as per his whims. Whims means as per his wishes. As I told you, sovereign means free from any external power or telling him how to rule or what rules to frame. ये सब कुछ नहीं, interference कुछ भी नहीं है, अपने मन से वो rule कर सकता है, that is sovereign. The commands of sovereign were laws for governed, and sovereign was not accountable to people. People gave their ruler unquestioned obedience. Means they were not questioning that what rules you are framing, what is the use of these rules, or ये एकदम absurd है, वो कुछ question नहीं करते थे. They just obeyed him as he said. Okay, so this is what it's written. Now, in the words of R.G. Kettle, Hobbes created the all-powerful sovereign on account of his belief that without such sovereign power, law, order, peace and security could not be maintained in society. Now, Hobbes created that all-powerful sovereign was very important so that laws could be made, order and peace could be maintained in the society. Hobbes deprived the people of their right to revolt against the sovereign. That's why they obeyed it unquestionably. Hobbes allowed individuals to disobey the commands only when sovereign deprived them of their right to self-preservation, or ruler got conquered and submitted authority to a new emperor. According to Hobbes, a change in government meant a dissolution of the state. Thus, he did not maintain the difference between government and state as a political institution. According to Hobbes, there was no difference between a state and a government, and so whenever there was a shift in the government, means a shift in the ruler, there was a new emperor because of war and conquering of the land, at that time they may question the ruler, but at other time they don't have to disobey the commands. John Locke in his book explained that state of nature was not a state of war, but a state of peace, natural rights, preservation, goodwill and mutual assistance. Locke's state of nature was pre-political. People were social and had rights and liberties. The state of nature ensured 3 rights to individuals relating to life, liberty and property. जो लॉक के हिसाब से स्टेट ऑफ नेचर था, दैट वाज प्री पॉलिटिकल, मीन्स बिफोर पॉलिटिक्स. पीपल वर सोशल, दे हैड सम राइट्स, सम लिबर्टीज एंड three types of rights were given. What were those? Relating to life, liberty and property. The state of nature was one of inconvenience. Life was inconvenient because each individual had to interpret the law of nature for himself and to enforce it without help of any other authority. Why the life was inconvenient? Why the state of nature was inconvenient? Because each and every individual had to interpret, means there was no one to explain him, no authority, no ruler to explain him that how this particular law needs to be interpreted, how this particular law would be implemented, interpreted, and how it would benefit or prove a loss for you. There was no one, no authority, no power, no ruler to explain such things to them. State of nature did not have the machinery to enforce natural rights. Obviously, if there is no government, then there would be no one who will make sure that the rights would be enforced. To preserve such state of affairs, 2 contracts were made, social and governmental. Social contract led to the formation of civil society and governmental contract to establishment of government. There were 2 contracts which were made to preserve such kind of affairs in which there was no ruler to tell how the law should be interpreted. What were those 2 types of contracts? Social contract that had led to the formation of society. As the term itself suggests, social contract, so it led to the formation of civil society, and governmental contract led to the formation of government. Social contract was among individuals to surrender their natural rights in exchange of civil rights. Governmental contract was between individuals and ruler to establish a system of law and justice in the form of state. Ruler was party to the contract and bound by its terms. Unlike Hobbes, Locke traces the source of government's authority to the consent of community. Obviously, it is different with the theory that Hobbes has given. According to Hobbes, there was a contract between among the individuals, among the subjects only, in which the ruler was not a party. But over here in Locke's theory, ruler was a party. In Hobbes, he was not bound by the terms and conditions which were given in the agreement. But over here in Locke theory, he is bound by its terms, right? And he is subjected to the consent of the people. Locke introduced the concept of limited government in terms of rulers, powers, functions and tenure. He believed in limited monarchy. King was the trustee of people. If ruler abused his power and breached the popular trust, he may be changed by revolt by the people. What Locke said, that there should be a limited monarchy. A person, a ruler, should be ruler for a limited period of time. That's why his powers, his functions and tenure, that means the time period for a person will rule in a country as ruler, that all he had fixed. And so he also said further that king was trustee of the people, and so if he ever and ever tries to abuse his power, then he may get overthrown by the common people. According to Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the general will of the people led to the creation of institution called state. Rousseau in his literary work The Social Contract described the state of nature as a state of bliss and happiness. With passage of time, increase in population, disparity of wealth and power, life became intolerable. With the passage of time, when there was an increase in number of people living in, and there were differences in the wealth and power that were distributed to the common people, life was becoming intolerable for some people. Okay. Simplicity, happiness disappeared. Human beings started to build their relations on cooperation and dependency. They entered into a social contract to preserve their natural rights without submitting or subordinating to any ruler or authority. Now what happened? When happiness disappeared, when there was disparity, means difference in the distribution of wealth and power among the people, when there was increase in population, resources were not distributed to the people equally. At that time, obviously, people will not be happy if they don't get enough resources to fulfill their needs. So they entered into a social contract among themselves so that their natural rights could be preserved, and they were not ready to submit to any ruler or authority. Individuals surrendered their rights to general will, of which individuals themselves were parts, and hence they shared rights even after transferring them. Individuals were governed by a new authority in the name of general will of the people in the form of civil direct democracy. Rousseau regarded general will of people as sovereign. Common good depends on prevailing circumstances of a society. According to Rousseau, government is merely a tool to execute the popular will. So Rousseau said that government's main function is to execute the popular will, and it is a tool by which he is which will execute the popular will. And they all were surrendered under the common good of the people. In the agreement which they made among themselves, they all were not ready to submit themselves to a ruler or to an authority, but they surrendered that whatever would be good for the common people, whatever will be in the common good of the people, they will do that. Okay, thus popular sovereignty is in continuous exercise, and there is no scope of revolt in his theory, because people were only doing what was in their common good, right? And government was subjected to the consent of the people. Government was only a tool so that the popular will, whatever the people want, that may be executed and given to them. This theory is criticized on certain common counts. First, individuals who were naive to the concept of political authority and civil rights could not, from any particular point of time, enter into an agreement and start living a collectivized civil life. What was the first criticism? The individuals who are naive means who do not have much knowledge, who are new to the concept of political authority and civil rights, who don't know much about civil rights and political authority. They would not be able to enter into an agreement, and they would not be able to start a civil life. Second, if existence of state is based on agreement of members of society, then old agreement may be revoked for new in accordance with self-interest of members. Thus, a mechanically originated state will run under the constant fear of destabilization. What was the second criticism? That if existence of state is dependent upon that what the common people or what the members of society want, and if it is based on their agreement, then it may happen that as time passes, their interests, their requirements would change, and so as the agreement with the passage of time, at such a moment there would be a constant fear that this agreement will be changed anytime. This agreement can be changed anytime, sooner or later, and there will be a new one which would be framed and put forward, right? So there will be a constant fear of destabilization of what? Of the agreement, depending upon the self-interest of the common people in the society. Now, types of state will be taken up in the next lecture. This is all for today. Thank you.